California's Laguna Beach is packed with many secret coves and beautiful vantage points. It is therefore a destination that many people enjoy going to every year to celebrate a holiday, to get married, or to admire nature. However, a couple who visited this place and took some photos there never imagined that their photos would be shown to thousands of people on Facebook. This story proves once again that the wonders of the world are not yet over. Before we start, can we get this video to 1,000 likes? Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Alex and her partner walked side by side on the beach, watching the foam of the waves kiss the sand. They enjoyed each other, the weather, and the beautiful nature around them. It was a great walk. They just never thought they would find something very special that day. Alex suddenly saw something in the corner of her eye, which at first looked like a rock. When she looked more closely, she saw that it was something completely different. It wasn't a rock at all. She had just found an old Canon camera. You could clearly see that the camera had been lost for a while, from the marks left by the sea and sand. Not knowing if the photos on this camera had survived, she decided to ask her brother Nick for help. He was very handy with this sort of thing, and if anyone could take the pictures off, it would be him. Nick confirmed her suspicion that it would not be an easy job. Knowing it would be difficult to salvage the photos, he immediately got to work. Nick had also become very curious by now. The camera was riddled with rust, and the battery was also completely damaged. After several hours of work, she was finally able to figure out what this camera was hiding. And they could hardly believe it. He could have opened the camera carefully, and to their surprise, the SD card was still inside. Afraid it wouldn't work anymore, he pulled it out of the SD slot with tweezers. Before he could use it, he also had to clean it thoroughly. Everything was done with pinpoint precision. The time had finally come to insert the SD card into his computer. He carefully placed it in the SD slot to unravel all the secrets. Would it work? The tension was to cut. The SD card reader suddenly started to make a humming sound, and Nick was initially shocked. Still, there appeared to be nothing wrong because the photos started to load. They couldn't believe their eyes. The damaged SD card and a rusted camera still worked. There were no fewer than 500 photos on the memory cards, and they immediately wanted to share the happy news on Facebook. They would never experience something like this again in their lives. Nick decided to post some photos to his Facebook account and wrote, "This Canon T5/75 300mm camera had too much to drink at this Laguna Beach wedding and spent several months in the ocean to recover." In all, they had recovered 500 photos, including those of a wedding held on May 6, 2017 in Woods Cove, Laguna Beach, California. He asked all his Facebook friends to share the message. Someone responded to the Facebook post asking what the last photo was. The photo before the camera ended up being the ocean. Just 50 comments later, everyone would get an answer as to how this camera ended up in the ocean. Nick, meanwhile, hadn't been idle and had contacted Laguna City Hall to see if he could find out more about the day's wedding. Unfortunately, they were unable to release this personal information. Thanks to the Facebook post, the photo had ended up with someone who recognized the groom. This was a woman named Taylor Ocho, and she wrote the following in response to the post. "Oh my gosh. This is the camera plus photos of the groom's sister. I will forward the message to the bride right away. Yay! How I love social media," she wrote after the newlyweds were identified. But not all questions have been answered yet. The couple in the photos were Heather and Cole Powell. They had finally decided to say yes, but they didn't want a big or expensive ceremony, and they decided to keep it small. With only their immediate family as witnesses to their marriage, they had organized a small wedding on the beach of Laguna Beach on May 7, 2017. Unfortunately for the couple, luck was not quite on their side that day. When the ceremony was over, everyone had placed their valuables on a low wall near the sea. This also applied to the groom's sister, who had captured the day with her camera. Out of nowhere, a huge wave came over the shoreline and took all the possessions of the wall with it. Handbags, telephones, wallets, and also the camera had suddenly disappeared. While pretty much everyone had lost something, everyone was most concerned about the camera. Some things can be replaced, but unfortunately the photos of that day are not. They were convinced they would never get it back. The time Geetha got the call about the fountain camera was 3 months after the wedding. "I was just so shocked," Heather said. "I immediately ran to my husband to tell them that someone found our camera. They were so happy, but how could they ever thank Nick?" The married couple wanted to thank Nick and said in an interview, "We tried to convince him to let us pay the shipping costs, but he didn't want to. They really wanted to give something back as a thank you." Since then, Nick's post has continued to go viral as people couldn't get enough of this heartwarming and romantic story. Susan Richards-Dorn, the mother of the bride, said, "Heather called me early this morning to share this story. Since then, I've read all your comments so far, and I've been crying the whole time. Thank you all so much, especially Nick. It has restored my faith in humanity. I am truly overwhelmed with gratitude. This story is almost too good to be true, and that's why we had to share it with you." What an incredibly beautiful gesture to do your best, to reunite strangers with precious memories. How is it possible that that camera has withstood so much? If I were Canon, I would certainly take this story with me to praise this camera. Hopefully, it has put a smile on your face, and so you can see that you never know how things will turn out.